Jake Collins had spent weeks preparing for this date, nervously rehearsing conversations and ironing the only shirt he hoped would make a good first impression. He imagined a quiet dinner, laughter over shared stories, maybe sparks of something new. When he finally opened the door, ready to charm and be charming, her first words stopped him cold. "My kids are in the car." His carefully constructed plan vanished instantly. In that moment, Jake realized that dating wasn't just about chemistry. It was about balancing lives, responsibilities, and hearts already full. And yet, something in her calm, unwavering gaze made him step forward anyway. Jake Collins had always considered himself organized. Between his job as a school counselor, weekends coaching Little League, and the scattered remnants of a social life, he managed to keep his world in careful balance. But tonight, for the first time in months, he allowed himself the notion of something different: a date. A night just for him, with someone new, away from schedules, responsibilities, and the ever-present hum of parenthood. He had spent hours choosing the right outfit, practicing easy conversation starters, and even memorizing a few jokes he hoped would land well. The restaurant was warm, a soft amber glow from hanging lights bouncing off the exposed brick walls. Jazz music hummed low in the background. Jake checked his watch for the 5th time and adjusted his tie. The hostess gestured toward the entrance. "Your guest has arrived." Heart pounding, he moved to open the door, rehearsed smile ready, imagining the perfect first impression. Then he froze. She stood there, calm and composed, hair pulled back neatly, eyes shining with a quiet confidence that made Jake instantly aware of his own nervous energy. She extended a hand, and before he could even greet her, she leaned slightly forward and whispered, "My kids are in the car." Jake blinked. The words registered slowly. Kids, plural, already in the car. This was unexpected. He had envisioned a date that was only about them, two adults navigating conversation and glances, perhaps sharing a laugh over something trivial. Instead, this date carried the weight of responsibility, the tangible presence of children who were part of her life. He swallowed hard, forcing a smile. "Oh, okay, that's good to know." She gave a small, knowing smile. "I wanted to be upfront. I don't do this casually anymore. My kids come first, always." Jake nodded, a mix of admiration and nervousness swirling inside him. He stepped back, opening the door wider. "Of course. I understand." Her gaze softened, and in that moment Jake realized that what had initially shocked him was not a deterrent. It was a window into her integrity, her honesty, and the world she navigated daily. He reminded himself of all the moments that defined him: 2 early mornings, driving his daughter to soccer practice, late nights helping his son with homework, weekends lost to birthday parties and playdates. Suddenly, they weren't so different. Responsibility, love, and dedication bound them in ways neither had anticipated. The air between them shifted subtly as she followed him inside, a tentative ease settling over what had begun as a jolt of surprise. Jake realized that first impressions mattered, but perhaps, tonight, honesty and authenticity mattered more. They were seated at a quiet corner table, menus in hand, the children safely parked in her car just outside, and the conversation began awkwardly, cautiously. Jake started with neutral topics. Favorite movies, recent books they'd read. But he couldn't help sneaking glances at her, noticing the way her hands moved gracefully, the quick, confident tilt of her head when she laughed. There was a presence about her, a grounded energy that seemed at once nurturing and self-assured. "I have to admit," she said after a sip of water, "I wasn't sure how you'd take the kids thing." Jake chuckled, a little embarrassed. "I won't lie. It surprised me. I guess I pictured, well, just us. But honestly, I respect it. It's brave, and it tells me a lot about you." Her lips curved into a small, appreciative smile. "Brave?" she asked lightly. "I'm just honest. They're my life, Jake." "Always have been, always will be." He nodded, understanding immediately. The stakes in her life were different, yes, but they were important. And in a way, this honesty made the night feel real. As the conversation deepened, Jake shared stories about his own kids, funny mishaps at school, small victories, and the chaotic warmth of family dinners. She laughed freely at some, nodded in recognition at others, revealing that she too carried the weight and the joy of children in her daily life. By the time the appetizer arrived, The initial tension had transformed into something tangible, a budding connection rooted in understanding and authenticity. Midway through the meal, a minor crisis arose. Her phone buzzed repeatedly, signaling an urgent call. She sighed, glancing apologetically. "They've locked themselves out of the car," she explained. Jake's first instinct was to volunteer immediately. "I can help," he offered. And just like that, the ice broke. They left the restaurant together, retrieving the kids and the situation, sharing laughter and conversation along the way. By the end of the night, Jake realized that the initial surprise, learning she had children, had shifted into admiration. He was witnessing a woman who carried immense responsibility yet remained grounded, genuine, and approachable. And he found himself drawn not despite her children, but because of them, seeing the depth of her character and the beauty of her life lived fully. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of tentative planning, weekend meetups, and balancing schedules. Dates became a juggling act, some at parks, some at family-friendly cafes, and a few quiet evenings at home after the kids had gone to bed. Each encounter deepened their connection. Jake discovered a rhythm in her life, and she discovered a partner who understood the complexity of parenthood, not just the romance. One Saturday morning, she invited Jake over for a casual breakfast. Her children, initially wary of this new figure in their lives, warmed quickly to his humor and patience. Watching him navigate pancakes and spilled syrup with effortless calm, she felt a sense of relief she hadn't known she'd been craving. This was someone who could step into her life, not as an intruder, but as a participant, sharing in the joys and challenges she faced daily. Jake, for his part, admired the way she managed her world. She was both firm and gentle, balancing discipline with understanding. It wasn't easy, but she made it seem natural. And in turn, Jake found that the very qualities that had startled him initially, the inclusion of her children, were now what he cherished most. There was authenticity here, a life fully embraced rather than curated for appearances. One evening, after the kids had gone to bed, they sat on the couch, talking quietly. "I didn't know what to expect when you said your kids were in the car that night," Jake admitted. She smiled, eyes soft. "I didn't either. But sometimes, the unexpected moments are the ones that change everything." Months passed, and the initial awkwardness of dating a parent became a foundation for a deep, shared life. Jake and her navigated play dates, school events, and chaotic weekends with humor and teamwork. They celebrated small victories and supported each other through challenges, their bond growing stronger with every shared responsibility. One evening, after a particularly hectic day, she looked at him and whispered, "I'm glad you didn't run when you found out about my kids." Jake took her hand, squeezing gently. "I didn't just stay. I wanted to be part of your life, all of it." Her eyes glimmered with gratitude and affection. Together, they learned that love wasn't only about romantic dinners or whispered words. It was about showing up, being present, and embracing a life already full. The moment that had startled Jake at the door, the whispered announcement about her children, had become the doorway to something profound: trust, partnership, and the kind of love that grows deeper through shared responsibility. And as they sat together, laughter and warmth filling the home, Jake realized that sometimes the most unexpected beginnings lead to the most extraordinary lives.